As a conservative, I'm completely shocked by the reactions I'm getting from people I followed for years sit here and defend what happened to this woman in Minneapolis yesterday. A mother, an American citizen, lost her life. She has a 6-year-old son who also lost his father, who is now an orphan. Number one, she lived on that road. Okay, she was not obstructing traffic or any of that. They have no probable cause to open her door because she is not harboring an illegal immigrant. Next, you can see the wheel is turned away from the ICE agent. And as an ICE agent, you are not supposed to put yourself in front of a vehicle because you don't know who you're dealing with. In the video, she is turning away from the ICE agent, not towards him. In another video, you can see that she's waving them by so they can go past her. And then 3 masked agents walk up to her and demand she open the door, which makes absolutely no sense. And then I'm scrolling and I see MAGA conservatives mocking this woman. And for those who say you don't mock these types of things, yes, you do. You can be pro-ICE and still see that this was unjustified. I don't ever want to see y'all wave a "Don't Tread on Me" flag again because that's exactly what's happening. Now JD Vance says that ICE agents have complete immunity. If you think she deserved what happened because she drove away, unfollow me right now. I do not want to be associated with that. This isn't politics. This is the government using its power against people it's supposed to protect. And we are watching it happen in real time.
That ICE agent that unalived a 37-year-old woman this morning in Minneapolis, Minnesota, plays stupid games, wins stupid prizes. I can't believe people are saying this is an act of domestic terrorism when this woman literally interfered with a federal investigation by using her SUV to block the street so that ICE agents and their vehicles couldn't pass through. When these agents approached her vehicle, they tried opening the door because clearly you're going to have consequences for your actions. She tries to drive off. And when she does that, there's an officer still attached to the door handle. She does an unsafe maneuver during this time where the agent is able to detach from the vehicle, but then she almost hits another ICE officer where he then draws his weapon and the woman then crashes her car and passes away afterwards. You know, if you were minding your own business, if you didn't interfere with federal investigations, if you were cooperative with federal ICE agents, none of this would have happened. Honestly, be so for real.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day.
The president stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming him with an automobile. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself. If people want to say that we should have a legitimate debate about, what was she really doing, right? Was she panicking when she drove into this officer, or was she actually trying to ram him? That's a reasonable conversation.
All right, you all. This story right here, it's so heavy, and it's one of those situations where no matter what side you are on, emotions are running high. And a woman has just been reported dead after an ICE raid in Minneapolis, and now America is split right down between who's really at fault. This is what really transpired in that ICE raid. So during an ICE operation in Minneapolis, a woman identified as Renee Nicole Good was inside her car when she was shot by an ICE officer. She later died, and what we see in these videos was a woman who was trying to, she was in her car and she was trying to drive away. And the officer was just in front of the car, and she was being told to stop the car and get off the car. And once again, this is when immigration enforcement turned into a national argument about life, power, fear, and even accountability on who is really right or wrong. But before we dive in ahead, let's first watch how people are reacting, and then we're going to come back with a full commentary at the end of the video. We're going to be seeing how the leftists are reacting to this ICE murder case, and then we're also going to see on the right side and how people are feeling about, and then we're going to come back with a full commentary at the end of the video. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'd gladly appreciate if you guys subscribed.
I'm a Minneapolis native, and I just left the protest site from where the ICE shooting incident occurred yesterday. I want to give you my two thoughts because I feel like nobody in mainstream media is covering this correctly. If you're not aware, yesterday in Minneapolis, ICE was conducting operations. The federal government, following the Somali fraud scandal from a few weeks ago, sent a bunch of ICE agents and Department of Homeland Security to begin arresting criminals. While ICE was conducting their operations, a bunch of agitators or protesters were nearby attempting to stop ICE from doing their job. One woman was blocking them with her car. ICE repeatedly told her to move her car. She wouldn't move it. And so at a point, they tried to apprehend her. They told her to turn off the car and get out of it. At that point, instead of turning it off and getting out of it, she moved to turn away. And that is when she almost hit or did hit an ICE agent who deployed his firearm while she tried to flee the scene. The left and right see this incident very differently. The right believes that she was trying to ram the officer and injure him. The left believes that she was just innocently trying to get away. There's no way to know for sure what she was trying to do here. What we do know is that within, a little over 24 hours, there is a very well-coordinated effort to get a protest going here in Minneapolis. That began within hours of the incident. Now, Tim Walz and Jacob Frey are kind of egging it on, in my opinion, saying, ICE, get the F out of here. Walz is calling this a civil war, calling the ICE officer a rogue officer, and saying that National Guard are going to come in and almost get ICE out of here, which does sound like a civil war. But to me, when I visited the protest site, this is what was very apparent to me. Protesters are blockading the streets so that normal drivers cannot drive down that road. They've blocked a couple blocks off. This is not police putting in barricades. This is not any type of law enforcement doing that, National Guard. This is protesters. Where I was standing with media, and the protesters were screaming at all of us in media, telling us that we are the problem, and telling us what angles people were allowed to film at, and telling us not to film at all. And what's even more absurd about that is that media was paying attention, but it was kind of scary. It's scary to be yelled at like that. There were also people wearing fluorescent vests directing traffic. Again, these are not protesters. Maybe some of them are protesters. These are just random passersby, and they are being barked orders at by people who look like they're official. They're wearing kind of official vests, telling them where to go. Once they cleared enough cars, they brought in this big van, and this van had supplies in it that they were unloading. And these protesters are not letting anybody not affiliated with the movement go closer towards the scene. In my opinion, I think it'll get pretty violent either tonight or tomorrow or both. If you look back at the 2020 George Floyd riots, it was the second and third nights that progressively got worse and spread throughout the city. If I had to guess, that it's going to happen now too, although tomorrow will be colder, so maybe not. And one more thing, a lot of the protesters are dressed in camo and they have bulletproof vests on. So it seems like they're gearing up for a real fight. Bothering me about this though, and what nobody is covering, is that the police let protesters get away with this type of behavior in Minnesota. And that is ultimately, in my opinion, what cost this woman her life. 10 years ago, I remember talking to police officers who told me that they've basically been given a stand down order, that they just let the protesters do whatever they want to do when something like this happens. So that woman, when she drove away yesterday, probably thought the police would let her get away with it. ICE doesn't follow those same orders. ICE doesn't give the stand down orders. The reason I feel like this is so tragic is because this is entirely preventable. If Minneapolis police did not let left-wing activists get away with whatever they want to do, block off city blocks, shut down highways for the last 10 years, I'm sure yesterday's outcome would have been different. It's really sad for my city that it's like this.
The killing of Renee Nicole Good is unacceptable, unconscionable, and un-American. There is absolutely no justification for her death. Kristi Noem, the so-called Secretary of Homeland Security, has zero credibility. She is a stone-cold liar. ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are out of control. And Congress needs to step into this situation. Republicans should stop burying their heads in the sand. And we're going to make sure that this masked ICE agent who pulled the trigger is criminally investigated to the full extent of the law and held accountable for this unnecessary death.
There is no finer or technical argument to be had here. The Minneapolis ICE agent thing is pretty damn bad. It's so bad that the legal defense of like self-defense will not hold up in court. If someone is attacking you with their car, you are legally and morally like justified in using deadly force to stop that person. But you can see the car back up to get the outside angle. It moves the ICE agent to the corner of the car. Like she could have stepped out so easily. And she doesn't have a duty to if she thinks she's being attacked. In most states, in California, I didn't look up from Minnesota, you don't have a duty to retreat, not even in California, which is super liberal. If someone is coming at you with deadly force, you do not have a duty to flee. But if you're being for real and looking at that clip, like the car is moving so slow and you're in close proximity to the car, like your hand should be out to just like move you out of the way. To reach down and unholster a bang stick in that situation and then aim up and fire is just like insane. I rarely say this when it comes to incidents involving bang sticks, but that lady was looking to use it. Like instinct and prudence would dictate that you just get out of the way in that situation. Like it's the better thing to do for you. It's not even like, oh, don't take a life over this. It's like, it's better for you to just step out of the way and have your hands up for balance. This one is not a complicated or subtle issue. Like that was a bad shoot. She was looking to use it.
If you could move out the way, that means you could have shot the tires. That means you could have got her a few feet away after you shot the tires. And if you were unsuccessful in doing that, you could have got her down the road. You didn't have to do that. She wasn't driving down the road coming at you 90 miles an hour. She was parked in the middle of the street. And rather than get out the car, she wrongfully tried to drive off.
That woman in Minneapolis probably wouldn't have gotten shot if the left can just stop interrogating ICE. And I hate to say that. I hate to have that opinion. I hate to even project that out on here. But the only reason ICE has to be so strict and this harsh is because y'all are trying to run them over with cars, throw water bottles at them, break into their cars, try to identify them, just let them do their job. I know it's so hard for y'all to believe that if you're illegal here, you're not supposed to be here. People are dying. People are getting hurt because ICE has to do their job. And by the left threatening them, there's going to be consequences back. And it is so sad to see a mother gone like that. And it's horrible. And I feel so sorry for her friends and family. But I am not going to blame it on Trump, blame it on ICE. I'm blaming it on the left and on y'all's nasty temper, because I truly believe if y'all would just let it go and let ICE do their job, people wouldn't get hurt.
Everyone has an opinion, so here's mine. I know you all have heard about the Minnesota woman who was gunned down by ICE agents yesterday, and a lot of people are up in arms about this. I think that this is a real bad situation, and this is really unfortunate what happened to her. And also, thinking about her 3 children, thinking about her wife, just thinking about her family, and I'm sad about that. I'm also thinking about the ICE agents and the obstacles that these radical left nut jobs continue to put in the way of people who are simply trying to do their job. It's a real shame. One, multiple things are wrong with this situation. Let's start with the fact that the woman shouldn't have been out there. That seems to be a running thing with these white liberal apologists in Minnesota. They want to stick their noses where it doesn't belong because they feel like perhaps they're in debt or they owe people of color or minorities. And I don't exactly understand why. They seem to be super apologetic. I'm not exactly sure why. And it's just a real bad thing. And when you see all of this shit happening, you think to yourself, like, if we as black people would have did the exact same thing that this woman did, would there be this outpouring of support for us? Would people be calling for, it's a real slippery slope, because they always tell black folks that we must be compliant. Now here we have this liberal white woman not being compliant and then getting what ultimately us black folks get when we're not compliant. And now you're expecting us to feel some kind of way? This is par for the course. I'm gonna tell you exactly what they told us. You should have been compliant. It was your actions that prompted this. It's almost like you had a death wish. You decided that you were going to block traffic and alert people that ICE was there conducting an operation, not searching for you. You're an American citizen. You had no reason to be out there. ICE wasn't even looking for you. But you decided to stick your nose in someone else's business. Another problem with white liberals. It seems like y'all don't know how to mind your own fucking business. Because if you would have minded your own business, you would still be alive. You would be at home in your cozy house with your wife and your 3 children. But instead, we're sitting here talking about you no longer being here. We're talking about your widow who's now survived by you and your 3 children who are now survived by you. And suffice it to say, where will the children go? Are they going back to dad's house, or are they going to stay with the second mom and further continue to destroy these children, being in that type of fucking environment in the first place? See, y'all got it fucked up. You think that the officer was wrong here when the officer was simply doing his job. That lady was given a direct assignment. She was told what to do, and she did not listen. Yes, we can debate whether the officer could have used lesser force, but city to city, coast to coast, everywhere that ICE goes, these people continue, I'm talking about the radical left, they continue to be an impediment on these operations. The local law enforcement doesn't want to help. They want you to come into the neighborhoods, and they want ICE to knock heads around just the way that they're doing, and they want you to be part of the civil unrest. So that way when someone dies, the Democrats can come out and say, look at what these Republicans did, and now use your death as political theater and a way to levy votes. Yo, y'all gotta wake up. Take your head out of your ass and think logically. If a police officer told you to stop or to freeze, and then you continue to do what it is that he asked you to stop, whatever happens at that point is on you. This was a federal agent. Federal. That means they have jurisdiction throughout the country. Federal jurisdiction supersedes local jurisdiction. So to the Minneapolis PD and to the mayor of Minneapolis, who's doing his best Donald Trump impersonation, it's so crazy how they talk so much stuff about Donald Trump, but yet they do everything they can to be just like him. They even trying to sound like him. It's kind of crazy, right? Get the fuck out of our city! You're talking to federal jurisdiction. As long as your city is in our country, we will do what the fuck we want to do. You don't have no say. All you can do is stand by and watch your people get shot because they don't want to listen, and you won't provide them with the leadership and the guidance that they need to stop this nonsense, stop this radical behavior, and you won't have to worry about people being unalived. But that's just my opinion. Love to know yours. Drop a like, comment, share this video.
The ICE officer that fired at Renee Good is the same ICE officer who was dragged 50 feet by another vehicle at a traffic stop that ICE was investigating last year. Yes, the same ICE agent. That famous incident where somebody was being stopped and drove off and dragged an ICE agent for 50 yards and somehow they miraculously lived. This was the same officer. So this lady is in her SUV, and if you look at the video, she reversed. And if she had kept reversing where there were no officers behind her, she could have easily then either stopped and parked her car and complied, or driven off around the other car that was parked where no ICE officers were. But she specifically stopped reversing with an ICE officer in front of her vehicle, put it into drive, and tried to run him down. And it was the same guy that had been dragged for 50 yards by another vehicular manslaughter attempt on his life. So no, he wasn't quick on the draw. He had experience with people trying to end his life with their car for doing his job. Justified. Oh, you can also go back and check the comments to see how much the left celebrated him being dragged from a car with no sympathy, egging the driver on, saying, "I wish you had finished the job."
So that woman that ICE murdered today was a lesbian. Renee Good was a lesbian. And the reason that this matters is because, number one, her wife was in the car with her when it happened. Number two, shortly after, her wife gave a distraught interview to a reporter in which she mentioned, we have a 6-year-old who's in school right now. Like, I have to go pick our 6-year-old up from school. After this, the child's grandfather gave an interview to the news. This would either have been Renee's father or the father of that child's biological father. It's unclear from the context clues. That child's grandfather gave an interview to the news in which he said, I'm going to have to fly to Minneapolis to pick up my grandchild who has nobody left. There's nobody left for them. That child's other mother is still there. She's still there. That child was in a stable, loving, married 2-parent home, and the second parent is still there. That child's grandfather is now clearly intent on trying to rip this child away from their remaining mother after they lost their other mother today. This is why it matters that Renee Good was a lesbian. Because if she hadn't been, this situation would not be happening. This is the exact situation that I, by the way, have been talking about for the past 2 years, telling people if Donald Trump is elected, I am going to lose my rights. They say, what rights? What rights are you talking about? What rights have you lost? What rights are in danger of yours? The right not to have your child taken when your spouse is murdered by the government. Do not let this part of the story get swept under the rug, okay? That's what they want. Don't let it get swept under the rug. This is an additional atrocity happening after, again, the murder of a United States citizen by the United States government. And now they're going to try to take her child. Do not let this part of the story die. Talk about it. Be loud about it. It matters. It matters that Renee Good was a lesbian. It matters that her child's grandfather is now trying to take that child away from their home. It matters not only to that family, but it matters, I guarantee you, to people that you know and love. Even if you don't know that it matters to them, we look around and we say, this could be us. This could happen to me. So don't let this part get swept under the rug.
I'm not going to blame people that think she got what was coming to her. I'm not going to blame people for feeling the ways that they do, because I believe it's a result of, the fish rotting from the head. Now, what is the fish rotting from the head? It is the despicable leadership that we have right here. This is Kristi Noem, who I would not be upset if she spent the rest of her life in prison. I'll tell you that much. Have a listen.
Has he been suspended, or is he still in the field?
This is a question of whether the cop who murdered Renee has been suspended.
Went to the hospital. He was hit by the vehicle. Went to the hospital and received treatment, was released, and is spending time with his family now.
Spending time with his family now, paid vacation while they cover it up. We all saw the video. Like I said, I get the denialism that exists out there. I don't blame people for wanting to question their life beliefs. But we all saw the video. That cop was not at danger of his life. He's poorly trained. He's possibly evil. He's hell-bent or gassed up by his leadership to find violence where there is none. It's a sad day in America.
I pray Black Americans keep this energy when a black man gets shot. Watch this video.
Everybody want to talk about whether or not the ICE agent should have shot the lady. I'm trying to figure out why she was there in the first place. You got a son, you got a family. You out here defending Pablo and Julio like they give a damn about you. Go home and protect your son. Can't do that now, it's too late. Worried about the wrong shit. And it's the problem. When you start dating people, you need to find out what their politics are. What side of the fence are they on? Because I'm starting to realize all the crazies are a bunch of liberals. They're the crazy ones. What woman of yours is going to be out on the front lines battling for fucking Carlos? Carlos is in here illegally. He need to go back to his country. Worry about the wrong shit. Got yourself killed. Good job.
First and foremost, law enforcement is not allowed to come up to you fully masked on and apprehend you without giving you a clear reason why you're being apprehended to begin with. And this is if law enforcement operated the way that they say they're supposed to. ICE agents, however, don't operate on those same grounds and terms, and this is what makes this agency such a scary and dangerous organization. Because if you're ignoring the fact that the Department of Homeland Security is trying to defend what this person did to a U.S. citizen, maybe I shouldn't be wasting my time making this video in response to your stupid comment. You're literally watching people get unalived on an app that was originally designed for children. Like, if that doesn't concern you, I don't know what else. I'm seeing people being unalived, not understanding why they're being unalived to begin with. So I have sympathy and empathy for those people. I'm sorry for having a heart for other people. If those are some of the things that you can align with, if that's some of the things that you're not really getting down with, then maybe my content isn't for you. So probably you should just scroll on past or block me. Either way, I could care less. I don't really owe you anything.
Now, on the left side, a lot of people are saying this should have never ended this way. And they're asking questions like, why was lethal force even used? And was this an unnecessary escalation? Because why would you shoot when you can just try and resolve this in a different manner? And why do ICE raids keep ending in tragedies all the time? There's an ICE raid, people must lose their lives, and it's just because the ICE officers just choose violence. And to them, this isn't just about one incident. It's about a pattern. They see ICE as overly aggressive, especially during ICE raids, and they believe Renee didn't deserve to lose her life during what should have been a non-violent encounter. But then we've got people on the right side. They're pointing out to the officer's safety, and they're asking, was the officer threatened? Was the car being used as a weapon? Did Renee comply with commands of the officer? From the right's point of view, this is about law enforcement doing a dangerous job and making a split-second decision. They believe responsibility may fall on Rennie if she didn't follow orders from the officers, and they're tired of officers being blamed before all the facts come out. And they feel like Rennie could have just complied with the officers and just stopped the car. And this right here is why America is so divided, because one side sees a woman who has been killed by the system, and the other sees an officer forced into a life or death moment. This is when you have to choose. It's either you die or you have to get rid of the costs that might lead you to die. And that's when she was shot. And the scariest part is both sides think the other is being dishonest. No one really wants to take accountability. Me personally, anytime someone loses their life like that, it's a tragic experience, and it's a tragic death. A woman didn't go home that day, and we all know she has a partner and a child, and a family is grieving because of her death, and at the same time there's an officer who's going to live with this guilt forever. So I want to know from you guys, do you think this could have been handled without a deadly force, without even the officer using his gun? Or do you believe the officer had no other choice other than just to shoot Rennie for that commotion to just end? And why do cases like this always turn into a left versus right instead of turning to truth versus lies? Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it respectful, because whether you are pro-ICE, anti-ICE, you're on the left side or the right side, or just somewhere in between, a life was lost. Let's be clear on that. And that should never be treated like just another headline for people to debate. So may Rennie's soul rest in peace. Finally, credit goes to all the respective owners of the clips and content used in my video. Your thoughts and perspective made today's work possible. And guys, if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, I'll gladly appreciate if you guys did so. See you in the next one.